Hi all, I am so excited to be here to talk through the various initiatives around process enhancements in Financial Edge NXT, leveraging Copilot. Before we dive in, I do want to go over a very quick housekeeping rule here. Please do note that throughout this presentation, there will be certain workflows and images that contain forward-looking statements. And please do keep in mind that none of the images or content that are displayed here should be distributed, copied, or shared in any way. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, we don't really have very much on the agenda. The whole purpose of today's session is to go over ideas to enhance existing workflows, demo some proof of concept that we've been working on, and really get feedback from you on what workflows would most benefit you by using Financial Edge NXT. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Leonie Phillip. I'm a product manager here at Blackbaud. I'm based out of Cleveland. And joining me, I have Scott Ehardt, a senior software engineer from Arizona, and Chris Kessel, also a senior software engineer from California. So let's go ahead and jump right into things. In the current landscape, every organization seems to be racing to integrate AI into their operations. And we don't blame them, right? The allure of AI's potential to revolutionize the processes, enhance efficiency, provide cutting-edge insights is undeniable. But here at Blackbaud, we are very mindful and strategic with our approach to AI. We are focusing on thoughtful implementation that aligns with our values and missions instead of just implementing something to check a box. The screenshots that you see are of some of the workflows that we have been focusing on and implementing as proof of concept. And throughout the session, we want to hear from you. So please do use the chat feedback, the chat option to provide feedback on which work stream you would like to see more of. And, we've also been brainstorming ideas to revolutionize workflows. And in this very specific example that's on your screen, it's about creating invoices and automatically emailing it out to customers. In the fast-paced business environment, manual invoicing can be time-consuming and prone to errors. Automation streamlines this process. And this screenshot is part of a prototype that I will walk through in a little bit, just emphasizing on ways that you can leverage Copilot to review pending invoices and automatically email it out to clients just using few clicks. And with that, I'm going to go over to my prototype. So please bear with me as I try to share my screen. Okay, just give that a minute. Got it. Okay. So we have a few different workflows that we've been brainstorming and, going over, and I'm so excited to share this with y'all. The first one that we have is the payables or accounts payable. It's critical and complex function, requires precision, timeliness. Manual processing is time consuming and inefficient, especially as organizations scale. With the Blackbaud Copilot integration within payables, users will be able to perform simple everyday tasks efficiently and accurately using prompts and other suggestive clicks. In this specific example, I do want to walk through the option of creating invoices using images. With the current workflow, when you receive an invoice, you'll have to go into the system, hit create invoice to add a single one, or you can do a bulk import, enter all of the information or copy paste the information. Then you have to add attachments, and it's basically a multi-step process. With Blackbaud Copilot, you can click a button and you can just use the image of your invoice, and it can be a single invoice or it can be multiple invoices. And the system will intelligently extract invoice information like the vendor name, the date, the amount, and it will, once you've reviewed all of this information and hit save, it will automatically create the invoices for you just with a few button clicks. This specific workflow is going to be covered more in depth in tomorrow's session on harnessing AI-powered document intelligence by my esteemed colleagues Hallie Hurwitz and Thomas Betts. So please make sure you catch that. Something else that we've also been brainstorming about is, how can we leverage, how can we enhance our existing workflows with Copilot is hooking it up with different list page as well as record page. So here in project list analysis, this gives you an example of what you can expect with Copilot hooked onto a list page. You can ask questions that encompass all of the different records. So in this example for projects, you can ask Copilot questions like, hey, what are the projects that have ending balance greater than budgeted? And Blackbaud Copilot will intelligently give you a list of all the different projects and you can see it. You can also ask Copilot for recommendations on how to improve. So this is for a list page, and taking that one step further, if you integrate Copilot for a specific record, you could ask Copilot for more project-specific questions. For instance, this particular project is scholarships. And so you can ask, what are the largest expenses for this specific project over the last months? And then you can get accurate information based on this specific project. Something else, another workflow that we've also been investigating is journal entry reclassification, because we know how much fun that is. So think of a time when, you're in journal entries, you've entered your records only to realize that, oh, wait, I made a mistake. I entered records for one project, but it's actually supposed to be on another project. Instead of you having to go in yourself and make all of these changes, a way to make that process efficient and leverage Copilot would be to have these, quick prompts like reclassify my entries, and then tell Copilot that, hey, remember I had made these entries in April for Project Leap Forward, but I actually want to reclassify them to Project New Heights instead. And so Blackbaud Copilot would show you all of those entries, and then you can, start the reclassification process. And once you have, you review it, and then you're like, yes, let's go ahead. You can preview the changes. Everything looks good. You can save the reclassification, and voila, it's just done for you. Just leveraging Copilot, making processes, more efficient as we go. Something else that we have also thought about is reconciliation, which, AI can help in this process only because consistent reconciliation is something that is advisable, just because it alerts you of potential issues. But this is something else that kind of goes on your to-do list. You need to keep it in the back of your mind, being like, okay, tomorrow I have to reconcile. Only just because you want to kind of control it not being reconciled, and then later you have to deal with, a large amount of data. Instead of having it being a manual process, we can harness AI to automatically do that for you. In this example, there is a separate tab where users can review all the transactions that have been auto-reconciled. You can provide feedback to improve the learning model as well. So if a transaction is not accurate, you can give feedback that it's not a good match, the reason, and then this will be used to improve the model. Taking this one step further, integrating with Copilot would be something along the lines of running reconciliation process in the background. And then Copilot would alert you when you log in every morning saying that, Copilot would send you a chat saying, hey, good morning. I've noticed that these transactions have not been posted. It's causing your cash account to be out of balance. Do you want to proceed? And, things like that. So kind of make it a more interactive process with the initiation starting from Blackbaud Copilot rather than you having to initiate and remember to do it every time. Sending invoices and receivables, this is something that I am very excited about just because it's not limited only to AR. This is something that you can use to email clients or vendors within expense management or even accounts payable. In this specific workflow, what we are trying to do is enhance the process or improve the process of analyzing outstanding balances and reaching out to clients. Currently, if you want to review customers who have outstanding balances, you would have to go into the system, filter them out, figure out who's the primary contact, what's the email address, go to another application, Outlook for instance, type out the email, use their email address, and then hit send. What we are reimagining is how can we make this workflow even more efficient using Copilot? So if Copilot is integrated within AR clients, you just use that to say, hey, can you just send invoices to all the clients that have outstanding balance? You get a list of all the clients and you can preview the invoices to send, and you can either preview emails or just with a button click send the invoices automatically. And this is also something that will be covered more in depth in tomorrow's session by Hallie and Tibet. So please don't forget to tune into that. All right, so these were some of the workflows that we have been looking at enhancing, leveraging Copilot. As I mentioned before, I'm very eager to hear from you if these are the kind of workflows that's going to impact you, what else you would like to see. And also something else that I'm very keen on understanding is if your organization uses Microsoft Outlook, or are you more of like a Gmail G Suite organization? That will also be very helpful. So please do let me know via chat. And I have done a lot of talking. I'm actually going to pass it over to Chris and Scott. They're going to show you some really cool stuff with that they've actually implemented. It's live in our test environment. And so let me pass it over to you, Scott.
All right. Let's get this screen up here. Great. So what are we looking at here? This is the accounts receivable invoices page. It has not been released yet, but should be coming your way soon. So this is a list of invoices that you have created and probably sent to customers. When you want to make a new invoice, you would open this screen, search for the customer name, and then search for billing items to populate the charge lines. So that's sort of a manual process. It could take a while if you have a bunch of invoices to make. So we thought, let's see what we can do with AI to make this easier. So what we've done is we've added a chat box up at the top where you can use natural language to create invoices. So we'll start with an example here. And this is a bit wordy, but it's a good place to start. So we'll make an invoice for Grayson Enterprises. They want 100 catered meals and 2 conference room rentals. Let's see what happens. So it's taking that text and it's looking through the database of clients and charges, and it's finding the matches, and it's pre-populating the invoice for you. And from here, you can make changes if you need to, or you can save it, or you can come back out and try again. So what if we begin to kind of pare things down, maybe make it more realistic to the way someone might talk? Try again, and so it's actually able to interpret from just the word Grayson. We want Grayson Enterprises, as well as some of the shortened billing item names. That's neat. And there's AI everywhere. My web browser is trying to help me out even. So let's try something even perhaps more realistic for a busy person. We'll do invoice Grayson for 100 meals and 6 rooms. Okay, so this is getting more interesting. You can see that from just that basic text, it's able to take that, match with the items, and get you started on making this invoice. Let's take one more example. So we'll invoice Jones for 500 meals. And you know what? 500 meals is a lot. So we're going to give them a discount on that. And they also got 8 conference rooms. And we want to charge them full price for that. So we'll do that. Perhaps. All right. So it's referenced the stored billing item, and it's applied the discount that we asked for. Of course, we can verify all of this before hitting save. And it's pulled in the conference rooms at regular price. So that's the proof of concept. I'd be interested to hear what folks find useful and not useful about this, so drop it in the chat. And let's think about where we can go from here. So this is a box on the invoice screen just for invoices, but we could see sort of an accounts receivable hub with a chat box. So you could tell it you want an invoice, you could tell it you want a payment or a credit, and it could take you over to that screen and pre-populate it. All of this demo that you've just seen is in the front-end code, but I know that a lot of you work with the Blackbaud API. So if it's a useful case, we could allow text like this to come into the API and turn that around and provide you with an invoice object. Curious if that, sparks any interest. So drop it in the chat, and that's what I've got. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to Chris.
Hi, this is Chris Kessel, and let me share my screen here. I'll be going over some Blackbaud Copilot chat assistant stuff that we've been working on, and that could easily integrate with what Scott showed you, or even hit a backend API if we needed it to. So let me just pull this up here. And this is running in the receivables billing items. And to Leonie's point, this is wired up to a list page to offer some functionality. We have the Copilot window. Here's our assistant, and we're populating it with some context data from the list page here, so we can go ahead and maybe ask it what our available filters are. Let it think for a second. And it basically lists all the available filters that we have on this list page, in case we didn't want to go up here and click on the button and offer some follow-up questions down below also. And then maybe we're new to this page, we're a new hire, we're ramping up on our, the Blackbaud FENXT receivables platform. So how do I even set the filter so we can even ask it? Set a filter, and let's just say the status. And it basically gives us instructions on how to click on the filter button and select an option that we might want to choose. Or we can even ask it if we know that there's a specific filter, like this is already displaying the type filter. So maybe we want to ask it what options are available for the type filter. And it comes back and just lists everything and gives a brief explanation of what that filter does for us. And maybe we also want to know what the columns are about or what columns we have available, but we don't want to select the button because sometimes typing is a lot quicker than fishing around for data or information. So we can say, ask what columns are available. And it comes back and just tells us what columns we have listed here. And again, maybe we're new to the page and we don't know how to set those by going in here and selecting a checkbox. And for going forward in the future, more so than just pulling information from it, the goal would probably be to say, set this filter, or I want to slice off this section of data and here are my parameters, and just do it in the chat box and it automatically applies those settings. So let's do that now. Maybe we want to hide a column. How to hide the, let's go status. And it basically just gives us instructions on how to set that to show or hide that specific column. And the same for search up here. So we can add search in there, and we can ask it about search text. And that just told us about the search text. So let's ask it, what is the active search text? Okay, and it says that the active search text is KW. So let's get back out of here and re-pull our data again. I'm just waiting for that to pull. Let me refresh here and see if that bumps it over. And there we go. And so we did a previous search for any search or any name and description field that had KW in, but maybe we want to know what was the most recently accessed record. And it basically comes back and tells us what record was accessed last, and some information was accessed by Brian on the 22nd. And then if we want to do some more data exploration through here, maybe we want to know what was the first record created. And it basically comes back and it searches the data that has available to it and comes back and lets us know that the blood pressure kit was the first record created back in 2002. And this gets more into the aspect of exploring the data and be able to access the data readily and easily, and maybe without having to go to the filters or comb through data. You can just ask it specific questions. And maybe we want to know how many records. Even though it tells us up there, and you might ask it more specific questions like, what are the total number of records accessed by Dan between these two dates? And you're kind of cutting out some of that filtering aspect that I was speaking of previously. And as well as the list page, you can jump into a specific record here. Let's take a look at some math books. And again, we have the Copilot chat window over here. And we open a specific record page. We get a high-level description of everything that's basically going on within this billing item, the name of it, the status description, and all that good information there. We can dive deeper into this and maybe ask about the pricing schedule. And it basically comes back and tells us what's in the pricing schedule. And maybe I'm new to this page and I don't know a whole lot about pricing schedules, so I can come down here and ask it, what is a pricing schedule? And it basically gives an explanation of what a pricing schedule is and what it is used for. We can jump into any other information that we see on the page, such as what is the status. And it comes back and says that it's active, and obviously it is because it's right over here on the left because we have eyes on it. And maybe we want to also ask it about what custom fields are applied. What custom fields it has. And it comes back and says we have a color custom field with the value of Azul, which is great. And we know that that is true because it's listed right there. And let's go back to our list page here and select another record. We'll go into the fitness kit. And maybe we want to find out if there are distributions on this record. So we'll does this have any distributions? And it comes back, and without even flipping over to that other tab, it basically gives us an explanation of what distributions are on this record. And maybe I get a little confused sometimes about what distributions are. So I want to find out what are distributions in account receivable. And it basically comes back and gives a overall explanation of what distributions do. And yeah, and this is a proof of concept, so we'll be continuing work on it, obviously, and it's definitely, I can feel it's definitely going to enhance the product usability and the productivity that users will get out of the platform, especially if we are able to wire up stuff like what Scott was showing, where maybe we just come in here and say, create a new invoice. Or any of the record type invoice, billing item, so on and so forth across our receivables or financial product would be awesome. And yeah, that's all that I have to demo today. So thank you for attending.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Chris. And thank you to all of y'all for taking the time out to join today's session. Please do feel free to, reach out with questions, concerns, feedback, ideas on what you would like to see next. And I do want to also remind that today is the last day to register for the BB Dev Days grant. So please do make sure that you sign up for that as well. And that's all that we had. Hope you enjoyed the session and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.